All right, guys, what's going on today? Prepping for Foley. Foley's just a couple weeks away, I think a week and a half. And I want to talk about the two new ASA targets that they have out this year. This one here is the Ram. He is a humongous piece of foam. Okay, restarting. What's up, guys? Just a couple weeks away from Foley. I'm out here practicing. It's pretty windy out here. I'm out here with the Hoyt Concept X. Bo's been treating me really good lately and shooting good. But right here, going to talk about the new ASA targets. We've got the Ram and the bedded buck. And right now, looking at the Ram, pretty long shot. I set these targets last week, and my wife come and set stakes for me to stand at. So don't know how far he is. Going to talk about judging him and where we're going to aim on him. So let's get up here to judge him. So we'll talk about the different ways that I judge targets, and the most accurate way obviously is just your depth perception, your initial thought on when you walk up and your snap number that you think the target is. And so it's good to elaborate on that. There's lots of different ways that people judge targets, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk up and my initial snap judge, I'm looking at probably 46 yards, 47. And so then I'm going to keep looking and start breaking down the lane. I also like to use my binoculars. Anything I can pick out, size of the 10 ring, size of the target, and initial thoughts is I might have been a little light. He's probably a little bit further than what I initially thought. So now I've got 47 and at the most probably 48. I think the furthest he is probably 48, and probably the closest he is 46 and a half. And I know 46 and a half is going to be too light. So I'm thinking more of that 47, 48 yard range. Aiming on this target is pretty difficult, really. He's just a huge gray blob, and there's one little shoulder crease that in some lightings that you can't even see it, but I can see it pretty good. The shoulder crease comes down and stops just left of the lower 12. We got a pretty good left to right breeze here, so I may use that to aim off of. So let's get dialed up here. We're gonna Man, he just keeps getting further away every time I look at it. I think I'm gonna hold a little safer. I think 48's a good number, but he could be just a touch further. All right, here we go. As soon as the wind calms down, we'll fire an arrow. It's getting worse. Shooting the B3 Tangent. Shot this for a couple years now and really liking it. My Concept X, I've got a B3 sight bar, Shrewd scopes, Elvis tack, and Easton Superdrive 25s. All right, let's fire an arrow. All right. I don't know. Looks pretty good. Maybe just a touch right. Let's go down there and check it out. Okay, so this is also gifted me an opportunity to talk about arrow calling. All right, so in ASA, there's two 12 rings. You have a lower 12 and an upper 12. Is in play all the time unless you call the upper 12. And at that point, the lower 12 will only count as 10 and the upper 12 will be in play. So here I was calling, or I was didn't call anything, so the lower 12 was in play. And look, the arrow has to touch the line. So this is the outside line. arrow has to touch that. This foam moves. See it moving a little bit? So if your arrow goes in and pulls that line over and touches your arrow, then it counts for this score. Same thing with the 12 ring. If you look here, this 12 ring is part of the 10 ring. So let's get even closer. Right here, a lot of people call the pie, because it looks like a slice of pie. If your arrow is within 90 degrees of that little point there, then it's a 12. So that's what the line looks like, my fingernail. So if my arrow was here, it'd be a 12. So let's look down here. So we are definitely a 10 at least. And then you look at, hang on, let's focus up. You look at the pie. If I was to draw a 90-degree line right there, where my fingernail is, then it's touching my arrow. So I think it's in. Let me know what you think. It's either a 10 or a 12. We'd rather stick it right there than it's a 12. But anyways. All right. A bedded buck. Heard him called the dreaded bedded a lot. I don't have much experience shooting him. It's been my first season shooting at this deer, but we'll take a look at the lane here. You see there's a huge log and then some little trees. There's a little brush pile past the log. I don't know if you can see that. And then the deer is out there past that. So not quite as far as the last target. What I'll do after I get my snap judge, I'll look at him through the binoculars, and then if I still am not quite sure, I'll break down the lane and pick out different distances, maybe 5-yard increments. Maybe I see something and I just know that that's 20 yards, and I'll go from there. But for this target, the lower 12 is way down there, but there's quite a bit of 8 ring below the lower and the upper. But you do have to aim pretty low on the target to get to the lower. So with this deer, the initial judge, the snap judge, I see 42 to 43. Let's look at the binoculars. And yeah, I mean, he's more than 42, so I'm looking at 43. I just have my sight. So pretty confident with 43. And as we look and break down the lane, yeah, I may add one more depending on where I'm aiming. It all depends on if I'm going upper or lower. You know, I feel like he could be one more. And so I may leave it and aim hard at the upper. So I know I'm going to hit at my pin. And if anything, I'm going to hit low. That way I stay at 10. And, but at 43 yards, this is a target that really, I mean, I don't want to say get aggressive, but 43 is not that far, especially in the open pro class. There's lots of times that we may only have 1 or 2 targets around that's under 40 yards. And at the classic last year, our closest target on the first round, I think, was 38 yards. And then we had a 39 yarder, and everything else was over 40. And so it was a tough range. A lot of guys shot really good on it. So with this, and knowing how low that lower 12 is, I think I'm going to leave my number alone. I'm going to aim right at the upper. Yeah, that's 43. All right, so we're going right at the upper. As soon as the wind dies down. All right, let's fire an arrow. Looks good. Oh yeah, we got it. All right, let's go down there and check it out. All right. So, made a pretty good shot on that. I actually felt like I broke more over here, hit a little right. The wind's blowing that way, but this has been a pretty tough target for me. You can see my arrow holes. Had a couple high 8s and a low 8 there, but judging pretty good today. I'll have to go back and range him, see how far he was. But I mean, the main thing here is just making the right decisions. You can look, you can see here how much 8 ring he has all the way down to here. You know, that's just a couple of inches off the ground. And then he's got quite a bit of 8 ring above the upper. He may actually even have more room down here. But when you're back there aiming, looks like you're almost aiming at the ground, you know, depending on where he's sitting. But I aimed right in here, broke a pretty good shot, and I'm over there. So, you know, that's probably about right. Wind may push me over, or I may just push it over there to the right. But let's get the arrow pulled and get out of here. Let's restart. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to keep shooting here. I got probably 10 targets left. That's the 2 new ASA targets. You got the bighorn ram and the bedded buck. Good targets. The bighorn ram is a huge piece of foam, and so is this bedded buck. He's like the size of a large alert, except for, you know, he's obviously bedded down. But they're good targets. You can find a good place to aim on that ram. He's got lots of room, lots of big 8 ring, and same thing with the bedded buck. They're good targets. Pretty good to judge. That big ram, you know, he can fool you because he's so big. But guys, good luck. I'll see you in Foley. While you're there, go Hoyt booth. Check out these Concept X. They're awesome. All right. See you guys.